Hey guys, Amir here again with the Man United Nation YouTube channel, and I'm coming at you with the Man United Tour 2015 presented by Aon Review. After all 4 games of the preseason tour, the Reds are now back in Manchester, and I'm here to go over the results of that tour. So let's start with the 2 matches that I haven't talked about in the halfway show, which are the matches against Barca, which I was at personally, and the one against PSG, which I saw on television. So let's start with the Barca match. I thought our team was quite impressive. The youngsters look really good. Lingard and Pereira and Januzaj impressed me again. Wilson looked okay as well, although not as good as I was hoping for. As far as defenders go, Smalling was ace again. First team-wise, I'd say probably Daley Blind was better at center back than he was in the first 2 games, so that was pretty impressive for me. Moving on to the PSG game, I know I'm not talking about it in too much detail so far, but I mean, let's be honest, there's not too much you can take out of these games, particularly when a lot of the lessons from the first one were thrown out the window by the second one, right? So with the PSG game, I thought our team was pretty awful, let's be honest. Carrick and Schweinsteiger cannot play together, at least in a 2. If you put both of them and you put Herrera in front of them or Fellaini in front of them, fine, you've got a functional 3. But the 2 of them are too static. You can't play 2 people who can't run. You need some runs in from midfield into the attack to open up some space or to utilize the space that's opened up by the forwards. So for my money, those 2 shouldn't play together again. Another lesson that we learned, Phil Jones is still prone to his stupid moments. He hasn't matured in the way Chris Smalling has over the last 6 months, and so for me, that's one key reason Phil Jones should not be a starter for United next season. Beyond that, Shaw and Darmian impressed again. We saw Darmian for the first time at left back. He did pretty well there. I mean, he wasn't Luke Shaw in my opinion, but he had a solid time there. He looked a little bit uncomfortable because he was sorting out his feet. He's a little bit ambidextrous, but he's not particularly comfortable on his right foot and his left foot equally. So for me, that needs to be addressed. Like, we shouldn't be depending on Darmian to play left back. For me, Darmian should always play right back, and you should have probably, I'd say, Shaw, and then probably Rojo and Blind, all 3 in front of him at left back. So hopefully we won't see Darmian playing left back too often. Beyond that, let's move on straight to the overall lessons from the tour. Let's start with 3 up, 3 down. 3 up for me. The first on that list is Andreas Pereira again. Andrinho had a fantastic tour overall. He scored a goal. He created some chances for the rest of the team. His crossing against PSG was one of the highlights for me. Every time he was pinpoint, particularly the ball he put in for Mata squandered. That was just great. And so for me, Andrinho's been one of the key leading lights. The 2 other ups, it's a little bit tough to think of ups after the PSG match, to be honest. But I'd say probably Darmian and I'd say Luke Shaw. Because the 3 of them, all of them impressed me. The 2 fullbacks particularly, just because they have so much pace. They are always in position defensively, more so Darmian than Shaw there, I guess. But the fact that they cover themselves well is pretty impressive. Beyond that, 3 down. Number 1, and I hate to say this, but David De Gea. He had a shocker of a half against PSG. I mean, let's be honest. If that was Anders Lindegaard or if that was anyone really other than De Gea, I'm sure there would be United fans on Twitter, and let's be honest, most of those people aren't really United fans, but the ones who are in meltdown on Twitter going, oh my god, David De Gea out! But in this case, because it's De Gea, he gets away with it, but it's clear his mind isn't on being at Old Trafford, and personally, if we can do a deal with Madrid, let's get him out, let's get Cillessen in. Although the fact that Cillessen played in the Champions League for Ajax tells me that we're probably looking at another year with De Gea. If that focus that he displayed against PSG is going to be typical of his performances, I'd rather we got rid of him. That said, if he can sort of pick himself back up, play like he did against Barcelona, then that's fine by me. I'd love to see another year of De Gea in net. As far as the other downs, Wayne Rooney, Captain Fantastic, not so fantastic recently. He scored against Barcelona with a header, but beyond that, for my money, he hasn't performed on the tour the way a top-level striker does. We expect next year to have a title challenge at this club, and for my money, Sergio Aguero and Diego Costa are both superior strikers to Wayne Rooney at the moment. And the fact that Rooney says he can score 25 goals, but his form hasn't been good enough. The upside here is that Rooney typically has been a slow starter with regards to his seasons, so we can hopefully expect him to pick up a little bit as the season goes on. But he's been abysmal on the tour for my money. And then the third one I'd say is down is probably going to be surprisingly Ashley Young. This is a little bit of a contrast to some of the previous ones, and this is purely based on the PSG match. I just don't think anyone else has gone down in my estimation terribly. So I'm not going to... Actually, no, I will use one. I will... Not Ashley Young, sorry. Let's say Phil Jones. The reason I'm going to say Phil Jones is because he can't maintain his concentration and he's prone to little lapses like usual. So he's not really down, but he is relatively down, I would say. So Phil Jones would be my third down. As far as the overall team goes, we're getting ready for Spurs now. There are no more matches. So the next United-related video you'll see from me, unless it's transfer-related, will probably end up being the video regarding the preview for the Tottenham match on August the 8th. So for my money, there's a clear 11 that should be playing in that match. The only thing that's going to slightly change it for me is what formation we end up playing. We played 4-2-3-1 in preseason, and then Van Gaal has said something about 4-3-3 possibly during the year on the United website recently. The problem is I don't see why you would play one formation in preseason and another one in the season. And I know there's a history at Bayern where Van Gaal had said he was playing a 4-3-3, but it's actually a 4-2-3-1. So it's hard to predict which one of those formations we'll see as the actual team. So I'll give you my lineup both ways. It's pretty similar. So for me, if we're playing 4-2-3-1 like we did during preseason, the team is really straightforward. David De Gea starts in goal. I know I've said he's lapsed in his concentration, but you know what? The alternatives that we have, Valdez won't play. He's done. Johnston is going to go out on loan. He's gone. It's either Romero or De Gea, and Romero has had no matches in months. I mean, apart from at international level. So for my money, I would start David De Gea, and then if he's performing like he did against PSG, then we can play Romero in the second match of the season. But I'd give Dave another shot there. Unless he's sold by then. In that case, I'd play the replacement. But if he's still there, I'd probably play De Gea. Then at right back, Darmian, easy. He's been the best player on preseason, apart from Andreas, maybe. So he's an easy pick for me. Smalling plays at right center back. I don't care what Van Gaal has been doing with Phil Jones. He's not as good as Chris Smalling. Chris Smalling has come on leaps and bounds over the last couple of months, and he deserves to start. Secondly, if we take out if we go to left center back, I'm going to go with Daley Blind. And I know a lot of people will disagree with this. They want to see Smalling and Jones, or they see Smalling and Rojo, or Smalling and Evans. For me, Evans is abysmal. He shouldn't play again. I don't want to see Johnny Evans. The guy, whenever he plays, I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack just from his defending. So I know Johnny Evans, please. The other person who can play there is Tyler Blackett. For me, I'd rather have Blind. Blackett is just as error-prone. He's more physical, which is nice, but beyond that, he's just as error-prone. I'd rather give Blind a shot because he's been playing there in preseason. He's built up some chemistry. The third person I'd play probably, or I should say the third option there, Marcos Rojo. He's not fit. He hasn't had a preseason game. For me, he needs to slowly be built up, and eventually I'd like him to play instead of Blind. But he's not fit right now, and I'd rather start with Blind right now. At left back, I'd go with Luke Shaw, who has been wonderful in the preseason tour. If we're doing a 4-2-3-1, then the two, I'd say Michael Carrick over Schweinsteiger, because Schweinsteiger isn't fully fit yet, in my opinion, so he shouldn't be playing. Then I'd probably play Morgan Schneiderlin, purely because he's more physical than Herrera, and that's going to be key against Tottenham, who are going to attack us a little bit more than most sides in the league will. So I'd say someone a little bit more sitting like Schneiderlin than Herrera is probably a better idea. And then as far as the three go, for me, Mata starts on the right, as he's been doing recently. He's done pretty well there, apart from the second half of the PSG match. Memphis at number 10, although I would be open to switching Mata and Depay's positions, but I think Van Gaal will not do it, so let's say we're going to keep it as it is. And then I'd play Andreas Pereira on the left, because for me, Pereira has been the best player in our preseason tour, and he can play there, so I'd play Pereira on the left and Rooney up front. If we're doing a 4-3-3, then for me it's a little bit different. I'd probably play largely the same team, so I'm going to just go through it quickly and then talk about the changes. So De Gea in goal, Darmian, Smalling, Blind, Shaw at the 4 in the back. The 3 in midfield for me would be Carrick sitting in front of him, Schneiderlin and Herrera to give us some dynamism. Schweinsteiger, again, he's not fit. I wouldn't play him. Fellaini's suspended as well. And then for the 3 in front of them, one has to make way. So for me, I'd play Memphis Depay on the left, Wayne Rooney up front, and I'd play Andreas Pereira on the right in that case. I think he's had a better preseason tour than Juan Mata. I think he's had a better preseason tour than Ashley Young. And if you're in form, you should play for this club. Names should not matter. And so for my money, I'd play Andreas there. And so we'd have that as a 4-3-3. So really the only question is regarding the formation. And if he plays with the 4-3-3, then I play Herrera instead of Mata. And I put him in midfield. If he's playing 4-2-3-1, then I play Mata instead of Herrera. So that's my formation. I'm looking forward to the Spurs match. I'll talk about it in more detail in the future. Let me know what you think of our preseason tour overall. Are you optimistic, pessimistic for the upcoming season? I know I haven't been caught up on my previews. I will definitely get that done before the season starts, believe me. So as far as that goes, this video is just about over. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to hear. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.